We've been in Pyongyang in North Korea for about 12 or so hours now. We arrived late last night. It's very rare to get access to North Korea, to the North Korean capital. It is, for all intents and purposes, a closed country, an isolated country, a country where many people can't get to, can't travel, and of course the people within the country, unless they are very senior, cannot leave. But we're here for a few days. It is, as you say, the 60th anniversary of the end of the Korean War, a war which cost more than 1 million lives. And so we're here being monitored by the government. I should stress that all along. We've got official visas, but our minders are standing just off to my right. I don't know whether they'll interrupt us. But this behind me, you can see, is the mausoleum where Kim Il-sung, the founder of the nation, his body is inside there. Kim Jong-il's body is there too. And of course, the country is now run by a young and relatively unknown man, Kim Jong-Un. Now, we've spent the day on a magical mystery tour, really. We didn't know where we were going to be going as we left our hotel with a group of other journalists this morning and our minders. Here's the story of our day.
You rarely know where you're going in North Korea. Everything's a mystery until you get there. And so onto the first of many government buses for a trip to who knows where. In Pyongyang there are traffic police, but there's no traffic. This is the most sanctioned country in the world. It's one of the poorest too. Everyone's on foot. We won't find out what they're doing, where they're going. Our minders are taking us somewhere else. We still don't know where. Everywhere the men who've held this country together and apart from the rest of the world look down. A few miles from our hotel, a stream of people is the first hint of our destination.
This is my camera, so I use it.
This whole thing is highly controlled. No mobile phones off the bus, we're told by our assigned minder. Security is tight for what we eventually discover is the opening of the new war cemetery. This weekend marks 60 years since the end of the Korean War, and we're here with rare access at the invitation of the North Korean government. Hundreds gathered, many of them elderly veterans. And then a moment none of us was expecting. Kim Jong-un, the young and unknown leader of this country, in the flesh. With generals in tow, he toured a cemetery remembering the dead of a past war just a few months after he was threatening a new nuclear war. Kim is worshipped almost like a god here. And even among those whose families died in the war his grandfather started, the cult of personality that binds the country is striking, almost alarming.
Thanks to the dear leader, my father is now lying here. His memory will live on, as does our devotion to Kim Jong-un throughout the generations to come.
Many wars may seem futile, and yet this one somehow more than most, because 3 years of fighting, no one knows exactly how many people died, but it was well over 1 million. And yet at the end of it, the front line, now of course the border between the two Koreas, remained exactly where it was at the start of the war.
60 years on, the new generation of fighters are, we're told, as devoted as those before them.
And you know, this really is a very, very bizarre place. I can't overstate that. When we arrived last night, we walked out of the airport on our charter flight from Beijing, and it was darkness. It was like walking out into a very, very small town in darkest Africa somewhere. But this, bizarrely, Pyongyang, is only a couple of 100 miles from Seoul and South Korea, the most technologically advanced country in the world. So you have these two Koreas, and they've both gone in such different directions since that Korean War that you saw the cemetery in my report there. This behind me, as I mentioned, is the mausoleum. Right across Pyongyang, there are massive Soviet-style buildings like this, but you go a bit further and it's really quite run down. It's a very, very poor country. The people who live in Pyongyang are, if you like, the top class. When Kim Il-sung many years ago split up the class system, they literally went into the background of every single person here. They worked out, they weighed their loyalty against the chances that they might try and speak out against the government. Those at the top of the pile get to live in the capital city here. Those at the bottom of the pile do not. not. They live elsewhere. We won't go into that right now because we've got our minders with us. But this is a fascinating trip. We'll be bringing more to you, I hope, over the next couple of days.